Voters' education is as simple as the phrase goes, and it's been an unrelenting effort on the part of the Independent National Electoral Commission. What are they asking us, the electorate, to do? That if you are 18 and above, you should get registered. And you qualify to own and collect a permanent voter's card. You are also enjoined to vote wisely. You are enjoined not to sell your votes. You are enjoined to be a patriot. You are enjoined not to be involved in violence of any kind. Weekend Deal is an interactive program, and we entertain and look forward to reading from you to learn about your experiences. Yesterday, we were very delighted to get word from you from different parts of the country. We ask you to do the same today. But Francis will set the tone for our conversation, which is background feature.
With the Presidential and National Assembly election billed to hold on Saturday, 25th February 2023, and the Governorship Cum State Assembly election billed to hold on Saturday, March 11, 2023, how far have the electorates gone with the collection of their permanent voter cards?
What INEC is supposed to do is actually to send these PVC cards to the address provided. Without they would have sorted out all this problem. This problem of people not collecting their cards wouldn't have arise in the first place. And we can do it. We have a lot of logistics companies in Nigeria. These logistics companies, they even go to the extent of verifying addresses. So when an address is given to INEC, INEC can contract those logistics companies to verify the address that the voters have given to them. And when they are sending out the PVC, they can now they can use them as well. And I'm sure they will deliver the PVCs to the people.
I believe so far INEC has done a great job, but you also have to understand the issue of apathy, political apathy among the populace. You know, many people are losing interest in politics, especially when they consider the fact that many of them have not gained, tremendously from the system.
The rising enthusiasm among young people to be part of this year's election, as evidenced during the voter registration exercise, and the heightened involvement in political activities is quite encouraging. Will 2023 be a defining moment for the Nigerian youth and the future of Nigerians?
Actually, it is the youth that register more in any election. But whether they are going to vote is another question. The politicians must do a lot to mobilize the youth, because election is about mobilization. Even telling people the importance for them to go and vote. There are still a substantial number of youth in this country who have not even registered. And especially those who are educated. That may not be subject to manipulation. Those in the university and so on.
With the way things are going in the country, in terms of unemployment, in terms of abject poverty, then you now see the youths wake up to use their PVCs to make change. But one thing we also have to understand is that the youth vote in the Nigerian political system is not monolithic.
While the upsurge in youth participation in the electoral process is encouraging, the United Nations has scored Nigeria low in the area of women participation in politics.
The domination by men in the political space, just like I said, because they are the one who have more access to resources. Few women have that muscle. Then the issue of even culture, because if women, for married women, it's not every husband that will allow his wife to be a politician. The issue of violence in politics, women cannot stand that.
All the presidents in the past, when they come in or during their campaign to become president, they will tell you women will get 35% of ministerial appointments. I'm quite sure Jonathan said it, Yaradua said it, Buhari said it, but it didn't happen. So I think it's high time the women need to take the bull by the horn and also use their PVCs to determine who becomes president. The only way we can do it and succeed is to make it become constitutional.
After 62 years of independence amidst enormous wealth, poverty is still endemic in Nigeria. Consequently, politics in Nigeria has been reduced to meeting selfish personal needs. Money and food items have become the inducement to disrupt the electorate's voting preferences.
The issue of stomach infrastructure is pretty related to poverty, pretty related to unemployment. So it's been there since 1999. There is no way it can end. And that is essentially because the politicians that are campaigning for votes, the masses are already aware that when they get into office, they are forgotten. So what they now do is to get whatever they can get and put in their pocket.
The forthcoming elections should not be seen as a do-or-die affair. Everyone has a role to play.
To those who are being hired, I think they should learn a lesson, because they always meet, and once they meet, they don't exchange blows. They exchange banters. They laugh, they hug themselves, but they are the people causing the trouble. So those that are being hired should say no now. That if you want me to go and foment trouble, first draft your son in or draft your daughter, so that they can lead us. They will never do that.
Our focus on Weekend Bill today will be on voter education and the 2023 general elections.
That's the state of things, Francis has detailed it out for us along with his guests who help us give it focus, give it a platform, and throw more light and bring clarity. It may be almost impossible to commit identity theft using the beavers, but it's not impossible to sell your conscience. But that's what the education is for. Don't sell your conscience. Don't sell your vote. We have some messages already. Let's just take a few. Shagun did not tell us where he's reaching us from, but perhaps his message will throw more light. He says, good morning. I did update on my PVC and I requested for a transfer in Rivers State. But unfortunately, I've been transferred to Ogun State. But I've not had time to go to Rivers State. Is there any way for me to get my PVC within these 2 days? Today is the last day. But we did promise the Director of Voters Education and Publicity with INEC, Mr. Victor Aluko, that further messages that reach us will send them to him, the number and the names, and he can do justice, so he can respond as immediately as soon as he gets them and provide more clarity. Nura Atajiri Sok says, there's a continuous need for massive national societal reorientation on proper time management, on doing things at the right time. It makes for less stress. Said the habitual late turnout on issues by Nigerians creates a lot more hardship. I guess that's why the voters' education is continuing. INEC has done theirs, civil societies have done theirs, and the NTA will continue to do theirs until the very last day. We never rest. We're unrelenting. Okay, so I'll take the last message now. Someone is saying, how long can a BVAS, that's the Bimodal Voters Accreditation System, take to accredit a voter? As in, how fast? Dio, written us from Lagos. We saw the mock accreditation on the news today, and Mayor Ogidi gave us, a detailed interpretation of what we were saying. Many of those who were there said it takes less than a minute. I hope that answers your question. Well, Doshima is being in pursuit of information to know how will people with disabilities be taken care of and catered for during the elections. Doshima, what did you find?
A new day has finally come for citizens with disabilities in Nigeria. You can now participate in the electoral processes without any worry whatsoever. The new Electoral Act of 2022 has made robust provisions to ensure persons with disabilities are not left out of the electoral process.
INEC is being disability inclusive. Yes, they're doing a lot with our disability cluster organizations, but a lot can still be done. I know in some states they have a different queue for women in hijab, they have different queue for men. So if you can have a queue, if INEC can come up with this idea of persons with disabilities on this queue, they will know that whether the person is deaf or blind or any form of invisible disability, the person is there on that queue. So there will be a designated official, INEC official, that will attend to such persons first before the others.
The 2022 electoral law creates room for the full participation of persons with disabilities to fully exercise their fundamental human rights to vote and be voted for. A survey was carried out in most states, which showed that not so many persons with disabilities are aware of the electoral law that gives persons with disabilities the room for full participation with comfort.
Polling units should be accessible for persons with disabilities. Polling units shouldn't be put where there are barriers. Barriers such as gutters, separating where the polling box is from where somebody will stand, because a person on a wheelchair or a person with disability, visual impaired, can't access that by themselves. So such barriers shouldn't be there to obstruct persons with disabilities to go.
Some persons with disabilities shared their readiness to vote.
I moved from one location to another. I want to collect my BPC. They said my BPC is not ready yet. Maybe next week. If I can get it by next week, I am ready to vote because I am a Nigerian.
What we need now is electronic vote. As a visually impaired, we have something that we call Google Talks Bar, which can even talk. Anything on the screen, that screen will read. So I think for now, that is what we visually impaired need. So that if you want to vote, there will be a screen reader. As a visually impaired, if you touch it from A to Z, so we can choose the party we want to vote for by touch screen.
I have collected my PVC. We will appreciate if INEC will provide a sign language interpreter for the deaf in each polling unit.
This time registration is very, very fantastic. I can say we Nigerians, this time around, we have been recognizing people with disability. In fact, they attend to us very, very well.
It is our fundamental human right in spite of race, color, and gender. Let all persons with disability go out en masse and vote into power all those we want to represent us come 2023 general election. Let nothing breach your goals to succeed. Now we know better. Dust your PVC and let your vote count.
Indeed, their votes will count. I like the encouragement Joshua is giving them. They can come out, they are being recognized, they are expected at the polling units, and they will be catered for and well coordinated. You are watching Weekend Deal, and you know that when they go there, there are a group of people that will ensure that those with disabilities and those without, those who are well, those who walk in and want to walk out safe, are well coordinated, and that's the security agencies. The top security agency at the forefront of this is the Nigerian Police Force, and Ore did a package to tell us how prepared they are for this task.
For Nigeria to have peaceful, credible and transparent elections, past experiences and current security threats show that this coming one can be a trigger for violence with the potential for widespread social unrest. With a few weeks to Nigeria's general elections, which is a major transition that would involve a change of government, the seventh since the return to civilian rule in 1999. The biggest fear and concern of many is the current security concern the electoral process and the country is likely to face before, during and after the elections.
All security agencies, they must play a part in all of this. The threats are imminent. They are everywhere. Where you have INEC offices being attacked by gunmen and what have you. I think what we just need to do is to create more awareness to that regard. There must be more visibility. The men and officers of the security agencies must be properly informed and trained to be able to know how to detect on time this enormous threat. The basic threat right now is having not to have election hold. Where you see several attacks in several states and regions. Also attacking government infrastructures. But again, we must give kudos to security professionals. They're doing a lot. Those threats you see from snatching of ballot boxes, they've been taken care of to some large extent.
As we begin to count down to this year's major election in Ojota, Lagos, that the shootout between violent groups and security agencies ensued at 9 a.m. In Anambra State, unidentified gunmen burnt down a police station in Umuahia community in Agwata local government area. How can these security threats be doused if not totally eradicated?
We normally prepare before, during and after the elections. So it's something that we have been doing it, and I think this election cannot be an exception. We have deployments on ground to contain all these kind of situations. Already with the deployment at hand, there is no way such thing will happen because the police and other security agencies will dominate the whole area.
Before all of these crimes are committed, there are plans also. Before anybody can come to attack you, they also carry out their plans. So if people pay attention enough, for the fact that we have men and officers from the private security sector who are on ground to see a lot of these things, we can collaborate in that regard as the election draws near. The threat is enormous. A lot of these things happens. They happen within us, but because we don't pay attention to them, they're always staring us in the face. So citizens must try as much as possible to report anything suspicious as quick as possible.
Credible elections are vitally important, not just for Nigeria's future stability, but also for the country's wider adoption of democratic processes.
A lot is being done to ensure that the elections are smooth. And security is a key factor, and that's what we're learning with that feature we just got from Abuja. We're not resting there. We're also going to have a chat with the Public Relations Officer of the Nigerian Police Force, CSP Olumuyiwa Adejobi. He's here with us. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very fine. Good morning. How are you?
Fantastic, especially with the good news we're hearing that all hands are on deck working assiduously to ensure that the elections and all those who will come out to vote will be safe before, during and after. But tell us, let's get to the specifics now. What exactly went into planning security for the upcoming elections?
Well, you agree with me that every election is a process. It's not a day thing. We've been having phases into the election in Nigeria. This is not the first time. We always have pre, during and after. That is post-election period. And you know that police is very key when it comes to election security management. In fact, police is the lead agency, the coordinating factor, unifying factor of all security agencies. When the parties started registration of parties, candidates, screening and the likes, we have been keyed into this process. Party congresses, police will always be there. Rallies and what have you, police will always be there. And you agree with me that even now, you see police everywhere when we're having campaigns up and down. And on the poll, during the polls, definitely, you know, every polling unit must have at least one policeman. And we know that the strength of the police might not be able to cater for all these polling units. That's why other security agencies have come to assist the police, including the military. Everybody has a role to play. Then post, we'll be waiting for release of results, announcements, presentation of certificates and the likes. We need to brace up to make sure that we don't have breakdown of law and order anywhere or any unrest anywhere. And that's why we started with studying the provisions of Electoral Act. That's the first thing. You cannot enforce the law you don't know. Don't forget that Electoral Act was reviewed, and we have Electoral Act 2022. It's different from 2019 or 2010 or 20 whatever. So it's a new act, and you need to dissect this Electoral Act to know the provisions of the law, so that our men will be able to be familiar with these provisions. And that's the first thing we did. Specifically in August, I think August 4, we declared the general trainings and the training exercise for police personnel across the country open at the ICC International Conference Center here in Abuja, where the IGP made it known that we will continue to train our men to make sure that they are professional while protecting or securing or policing our 2023 general elections processes, and to make sure we remain apolitical. Operation Order is a document that will tell you the vision, the mission, the purpose, and deployment, administration, and what have you. What do you actually want to do to police our 2023 general elections? So we have done that, and this Operation Order has been shared to all security operatives. We are coordinating deployment. Every security agency that is involved in election security management, we work with various commissioners of police in our states, nationwide across the country. So we have a joint operation room in Abuja, and we have representative of every security agency involved at this joint control, joint operation room. The Army, DSS, NIA, Immigration, Correctional, all of them.
We do know that police has worked assiduously. The hard work and diligence did not start today, and the cooperation and integration did not start today. But we do know that as you're moving forward, you will look at some gaps in the past year and see how to block them. But as you are doing that, I know you're also doing some investigation. What are you finding out? You know, there are some people, as you are planning your own, they are planning their own. What is the word out there? What are you going to be looking out for to ensure that everything is tip-top?
You know, for every man to be a successful person, you need to go through your history. And science, there is a principle we call principle of uniformitarianism in science. It's a principle that guides particularly geologists and geographers or geomorphologists, that you need to study the past to understand the present and be able to project into the future. So in simple science, there is no police institution across the world that will not always be appraising or evaluating its operational strategies, and it's the same thing applicable to us in Nigeria. So we always look back, and we, apart from the general elections, in most cases, the most difficult elections that we have been experiencing in Nigeria are these off-season elections, these staggered elections, for instance, Anambra, Osun, Ekiti, and at times even Kogi. And we have done this, and we use this as yardsticks to even evaluate our operational strategies.
How do you rate your performance like last year for the elections you just mentioned now?
Excellent, excellent. You agree with me that, in fact, we thought we would not have a number of elections in the first instance. The noise was everywhere, the tension was everywhere. But we went. All we did was to study that what were the lapses we experienced during the last gubernatorial election in Anambra, and we were able to plan for the last one. We discovered that we did not police the riverine area in Anambra properly. See, the Ogbaru Aziz up to Onitsha towards the Delta side, Delta State region in Anambra was not properly policed previous elections. And that boys, these actors, these
able to sneak in,
will come in through the waterways. And what the IG did was, if this place is leaking, what can we do? And he sent mobilized gunboats to fortify the area. So they could not even go in through either the riverine areas, the waterways from Asaba or anywhere to Anambra through Onitsha. They were able to police it, and the thing went well. And you see, even the commissioner of police, all of them carrying rifles, everybody was everywhere. We did deployments.
You talked about training and retraining. We know that someone who was employed last year, 2 years ago, can't just do some specific assignments. So you are going to utilize hands who understand the terrain, who understand usual mischief, and who is also proactive to think of the mind of mischief makers and imagine where they can come from and what they want to do. What have you been telling your man in line with the next 3 to 4 weeks?
You know, to police democracy is a very difficult thing. That's the first message to our men, that if you want to police democracy, you must be ready for consequences. Either you step on toes and you are ready for consequences, and those elements we want to fight back, you must be very, very ready. Now we have been given instructions that on during the election day, I think the first one is February 25th, that VIPs will not go with their security hits. I'm sure you know many will not like that.
But do you have adequate security personnel? I know you said you are working in
with all security agencies who are members of ISES. ISES is the Agency Consultative Committee on Election Security. The NSA is co-chairman, IG is co-chairman, INEC chairman is co-chairman of this ISES. These are the security agencies that are involved in this, and majorly they are federal government-owned security agencies. We are good to go. Those owned by the state, or these quasi security units, Vigilante, Amotekun, Ebuwagu, all that, they are not going to come. And let me say it again here: we don't want them. Let them go and do their normal security.
So there's no cohesion.
They are not involved
synergy
in election security management. It's fine. We have told them, letter has been written, because together with Square we have more than 100 plus of these units. We cannot incorporate them into this system. So I'm not saying it again, reiterating it again. They are not welcome into this system. They can go and do their local policing work, security work, but not for election security management. Those that are involved have been communicated. We've been having meetings with them on regular basis, and we are good to go with the personnel we have. Police and other agencies, we are good to go.
We like that word, we are good to go. You said it more than 3 to 4 to 5 times. What about people with disabilities? What special concerns?
I know you know NEC has designed so many things for them, but our own is that the good news is that they know we have been working with them. We have, the IGP has established DDO, that is Disability Desk offices across the country. Every command has a DDO. And of course, every DDO is under the supervision of the command PROs. The commission is working hard with us, and their executive secretary is excellent. I give it to him. He's been working with us, so they don't have any problem. So we have DDOs across the country.
Security tips, like 2 days before the election, a day before the election, the morning of the election, as you are going to your polling unit, while you are there, tell Nigerians.
The first security tip is to be safe, is to feel unsafe. To be safe is to feel unsafe. Suspect everything around you. Then for those that want to vote, move close to where you want to vote. It's not going to be wise for you to want to cover 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers, 20 kilometers with your PVC. You might not be able to have this free movement because our men might stop you and you will be disenfranchised officially and justifiably. Then there's no need for you to panic because security men are there. If you see heavy deployment, we are for peace, not for pieces. We are to protect you, not to intimidate or harass you. Then if you have your PVC, don't sell your votes. Don't sell your PVC. Your PVC is your property, is your entitlement, is your right, is your power. And for those who are sitting on the fence, they are the most dangerous set of people. We don't want you to sit on the fence. If you know you don't have a PVC, those that don't have PVC, I call them inactive electorates. Inactive electorates, we don't want you outside. Stay at home. Stay glued to your NTA. You can be watching the processes of election across the country live. We don't want you outside because you are the most dangerous element you can have, because you can trigger crises.
Let's talk about feedback as well. We often hear from the police and other security conscious Nigerians, when you see something, say something. Were we to see something, were somebody to see something and wants to notify security agencies, what ought they to do as soon as possible?
Well, we are digital media, and with this season journalism we have now, everybody is free to pass. As I'm here now, you can see I have more than 1,000 messages coming in on regular basis, either on my social media, whatever handles and everything. Nigerians are smart enough.
So they should go on social media.
They know how to get up.
What have a line to call?
We are online. We are online 24 hours. They know. Don't tell them. Nigerians know. They know how to talk to us. Except for our people in our rural areas that are not familiar with this digital journalism. But we always tell them to work close to any policeman they see around them. Our men have been told to be civil, to be accessible, and to be transparent enough. So those that are not good on social media, work to any policeman or any security agent you see around you. Talk to them. If you need any help, they are going to help you. But for general, at least almost 80% or 90% of Nigerians are good on social media. They know they give me troubles at times on social media. We know how to handle ourselves. But they know most of our lines, helplines, control room numbers across the country will be shared. I'm sure I'm going to share it with NTA too, so that I can be scrolling this on your screen. All stations have these numbers, and we want them to scroll these numbers so that our Nigerians can easily lay their hands on this number and call when the needs arise. We assure them there's not going to be any problem. Like the general said, there's Hakuna Matata. No cause for alarm in any way.
The Nigerian police force is good to go. And when you see something, say something. Reach out to a security conscious person and get the message to them as soon as possible. It's been great chatting with you. Nigerian Police Force Public Relations Officer, CSP Olumoyiwa Adejobi. It's been great having this chat with you.
Thank you.
You are watching Weekend Deal. Voters' education is our business today. We want you to key in and be a part of the conversation. We go on a break now. Don't go away. You're watching Weekend Deal, the Nigerian Television Authority, and it's always a pleasure to have your company, especially so discussing voters' education. It concerns you, it concerns me, and everybody above 18 who is a Nigerian and a patriot. The gist out there, in fact, when I was talking to Mr. Victor Aluko, he confirmed it, that over 44 million women have registered to vote. We do hope they will come out. But before we bring on that feature, let me tell you who is with us in the studio today. Honorable Musa Diko, a former chairman of a Buhari local government area. We will talk, but we'll see this feature where the focus is on the role and impact of women in the electoral process. Nigeria's democratic process has been uninterrupted since 1999. That is 25 years and counting. That is why perhaps the importance of the upcoming general elections cannot be undermined. Suffice it to say that as vital as the elections are, so is the integral role of women in achieving lasting results.
Yes, I do have my PVC.
Of course I do. I can't wait.
I have a PVC. A lot of women are out. You understand? We are no more sleeping.
The women excitement or enthusiasm for this registration to the general election we're going to feel their impact. Because the truth is, just imagine when a woman will leave her home in the early hours of the morning, go to register, took the whole day to register, forgo their businesses to go collect their PVC. And you look at the number of women who have registered. We've never seen that before.
Interestingly, data from Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) reveals that of the 93.5 million people registered, over 44 million are female. What this depicts is that more than ever before in Nigeria's history, women are eager to cast their votes.
They are easily cajoled into vote buying. I saw some time ago when as small as 500 naira are given to women. My message to the Nigerian women is that you have the capacity to bring the change. You alone have the capacity. Because when a woman talks to her children, they listen. My wife talked to me this morning before I left home, and I was so happy. Imagine my wife now said, honey, don't you think that that man is a better candidate? And of course, I will have a think. My friend cannot tell me that because I know he has an interior motive probably. But once my wife tells me, because she feels the pain of the house, she's a woman, she's a mother, that can really sway my votes.
I look forward to a new Nigeria, and I believe that the next election will usher us into a new phase where the whoever is coming in must make a change.
I am very, very prepared. This time we want to get it right. So why would I not vote for the right candidate?
There is no gainsaying that women know what they require. In spite of this fact, it has been mentioned that often during campaigns, public discourse excludes sustained engagements of women's concerns. If the female electorate have been taken for granted in the past, is this still the case now?
I'm excited and I pray and I have the belief that this time around, it is our turn to shine.
I, for one, I'm going to take a chair there. I'll make sure that my polling units will know who wins there before I leave. So it will sure count.
Women are now taking the bold fight to the polling units to ensure that this time around, they make a difference. Their voice should be heard. And I think my advice would be that not just registering, but go out there on the day of election and make that choice that made you to go and register. Make that choice and make a wise choice.
Nigerian women have registered en masse to vote in the forthcoming general elections, statistics show. The hope, then, of every Nigerian patriot is that they will utilize their formidable numerical strength wisely. I had the opportunity to talk with Dabas Suleiman, the Ambassador General of the Polling Units Ambassadors of Nigeria, and he said women have an uncommon and a unique strength that many of them may not realize that they have. Honorable Musa Diko, tell us, do women really have what it takes to change the course of a political or electoral process, to bring fortune to our positioning at this time in the process, electoral process?
The women have had a very wide range of comforts within the electioneering campaigns, elections, but we have not watched that before now. We have not taken interest before now. At every polling unit where women are, check out what they do. They look for even stone to sit on top. They look for wood to sit on top, not even chairs. Until they are accredited, they cast their votes, votes are counted, results are declared before you leave. You know, within the urban areas, you will hardly find this. But when you go out to rural areas, this is where you see the uniqueness of women during elections. And even during campaigns. Oh, 2 days back I was in Gao, in Abuja Area Council. What I saw was wonderful from the women. Out of the number we had, 60% were women, both old and young. And they were there listening carefully.
What were you telling them?
Of course, telling them the time for having a new Nigeria is at hand. A time for getting involvement into partisan politics by women is here. A time to take decision to see how they can actually complement the effort of the men, and if possible, be in charge of affairs of governance tomorrow. And they were keen to listen. Even though, of course, they will always complain, we are not allowed to take charge, we are not allowed to participate in contests and the rest of it. But I think the men are already jittery. With the high number of women registering and getting their PVCs these days, in the shortest possible time, if God allows us, the women will be in charge.
It's not about women taking charge. We want to be able to air our requirements, say what we need, and then be on the table to discuss how to bring it to fruition. And if opportunity permits, and we have what it takes, the capacity and the ability, yes, take a seat or two. We're available, but not that we want to usurp what is already existing and what is working well.
No, you see,
because we see that in some cases, what I saw when I said in terms of campaign and discourse, we have not had a consistent and sustained discussion about women, the peculiar challenges that we face, and women over time. Even political aspirants who are feeling outspoken would say the reason why they are going there is not that the men have not been able to make impact in some cases, like at the Senate, House of Reps, as governors and all of that, even as commissioners, but that they want to focus on women.
But certainly that has always been. Check in a family home. Every decision by a reasonable man, he has gotten his good ideas from a woman. I've experienced it from my parents, where in the evenings, when they sit to discuss, most things my mom told my dad then were the things he implemented the following day for us. So what I'm trying to say here is that the women are so unique because they can be patient at all times. They endure a lot of things that the men does not do. Of course, sometimes the men say they endure hardship more than the women. But what the women endure, sitting 24/7 at home, taking care of home, is something. So in the political field as well, the women have been very unique, and they are sustaining their standard of uniqueness among the men.
Okay,
yes.
Let's talk about vote buying. There's a lot of talk over time about money politics. We do know to an extent that when you're coming out for any political position, money must be expended. They call it logistics. But thankfully, Beavers is here, and many people are coming out to say, now with what we see, our vote can count, but we need to come out first. Some are now saying that people have exploited that emotional, sentimental side of women in terms of vote buying.
Well, I'm yet to experience where the women are easily lured into vote buying. But I've experienced that with the men, particularly the younger ones. It is difficult to convince a woman to sell her vote. Very difficult. But to the men, particularly the younger ones, it is so easy. Have you not been in a polling unit where you see young men going up and down while the women sit quietly? That moment they sit quietly, how do they buy their votes? But those people out there, the young men that goes up and down, go searching for one thing or the other. It's either they want to eat, it's whether they want to discuss one or the other, and they are easily lured into buying their votes. So I want to say here that the women are so unique when it comes to voter relationship. They want to cast their vote and ensure that what they came out for is actualized. So when people say women are easily lured in, I have not experienced it. I have contested more than 4 times, and I have not had that experience.
Interesting.
So I want to say here that the women, even right now, I can tell you that right now, as the DG campaign organization for FCT senatorial seats, where we have Zachary and Glue contesting, I am focusing on the women. Because I know where you have 10 women, you will get those 10 votes. You will get those 10 votes. So I want to say here that the women are so unique in this aspect.
Okay.
And we must see to it that we encourage them so that they can get participated, they can have opportunity to contest. And bring
Eventually.
in, explode those ideas they have, those things they have that we the men don't have, into governance.
Okay. We will also talk about how women can use their unique characteristics to also sway their children and their husbands to go out there and vote credibly. But first, we're told that we've been speaking with Nigerians. We've been out there on the streets talking to people to know what their views are on the Nigeria of their dreams and the kind of leaders that they think this electoral process, these elections should bring to the fore. Let's see views from the streets.
Have the right. It sounds really good. Be very conscious of your children. So to them to my house.
For me as a person, what I'm looking forward to in 2023, I want to see a better Nigeria. Security-wise, we are not safe. Everybody is walking and looking behind. We want to have a peaceful Nigeria. Politics, if we can have a quiet election, please. We are still hopeful. Nigerians, we don't give up easily.
My expectation is actually for government to be youth-minded. Okay, because to be very, very sincere, if we don't empower the youth, we actually rob Nigeria, the future that everybody wants to see. So if we want to actually empower the youth, we should be able to think about their development, and we cannot do that without having them at the minds in policy making, in a whole lot of areas. What do young people need in this particular sector, in agriculture? What should we pour monies into? What should we fund? What should we defund and all of that? We should actually mirror back to see, okay, what are we doing wrong as a country to be able to mine or trap the potentials of these young people?
I just want to pinpoint this. Concerning the currency, they changed. We're having fake money all around, and it's really not helping. So I think they should work hard and see how they can curb that. So they should go down to educate them on how this goes and make them understand the difference between the real and the fake.
Come 2023, to improve on our healthcare. Most of the times, our leaders have been traveling outside the country to, for healthcare services. Why they are supposed, in the actual sense, to modify our healthcare system so that it be for a benefit for all, both the poor and the wealthy. And I believe with the new government, they will understand there's need for this and improve on our healthcare system. Now, talking about power, we are still at the EP standard. The situation, our power system have not been encouraging enough. Although there's a little improvement, but more has to be done.
You still have the right. It sounds really good. Be very conscious of your children. So to them to my house.
You know, the views, they said to really get the fiber of a nation, it's not only what we do here. Yes. We sometimes need to go out to the streets and hear what the layman, the laywoman, let's know what their thoughts are. It can sometimes motivate, inspire, and galvanize us in the direction that will prosper everyone. Let me take a few messages. Aster John is from Boko in Benue State. He says, I suggest that for the elections to be more effective and more credible, INEC should segment the process by 3 geopolitical zones so that security and equipment will not be overstretched. Okay. Yomi, tell us where you're reaching us from. We want to know who you are, where you're reaching us from, so that the messages can be well coordinated. You can't you can never get the best of anything without the women. So says Yomi. He says, so women should not be ignored by any political candidate. I think Honorable Musa has alluded to that. People are easily convinced to sell their votes because some people in Nigeria may be poor and hungry. You didn't tell us who you are and where you are reaching us from. The fact that there are financial challenges, is that enough reason, Honorable Diko, for us to sell our votes?
Once you sell your vote, you have sold your right. So your financial challenge will continue. So there is no need to sell your right because of financial challenge. What I want people or Nigerians to understand here is that when your right is tampered with, you are as good as a dead person. Because
how is that?
You have nowhere to feature. Your voice cannot be heard. Therefore, your action cannot be seen. So we should not, because of financial challenge or every other difficulties that we might face, sell our rights. We must continue to fight our right. And fighting our right to get good governance, it has to be true ballot. And if I cannot cast my vote, you cannot cast your vote, we cannot get good governance. Because that is the only point every Nigerian can express his or her opinion, who he wants or she wants to lead him or her. Therefore, we shouldn't see any challenge as a reason for us to sell our rights. For instance, in the Federal Capital Territory, where the inhabitants are struggling to have their right to vote for governorship and state assembly elections, if you go into their mind and see what they feel, they are tortured naturally. They are dehumanized. So when your right is tampered with, you can go places, you can go blazes. So I don't subscribe to the fact that there are difficulties. People should sell their rights. Your voter's card is your right.
Some say it indignifies you, even if no one sees you collecting. If you have collected some financial motivation to go and cast your vote, it's going to eat you inside.
You have conscience as a human being, and know it well that God is watching you. When you take someone's money in the name of to vote him, and you go there and you don't vote him, throughout your lifetime, you always remember that.
Okay. For the most part, we've seen the little that we know, or the most that we know about some of the candidates, is because people have displayed, there's nothing private anymore. People have displayed their private and public experiences out there. We know a lot about them. It's for people to now make their choice of all that has been put on show now.
Yeah.
Pick the person you think can take Nigeria to the next level. Yes. Let's go back to the role of women now. When I was talking with the POAN Ambassador General Dabas, he said that when women talk to their partners, your spouse, and their children, it has a lot of impact. So women, beyond themselves now, acting with dignity and honor, they can also enjoin the male folk around them to do same. How true is that? Especially as we know that our youths, many of them will not just only be lured into vote selling, they may also be lured into thuggery and other acts of mischief during this period.
Yeah, of course, very true. Sometimes I don't give my wife enough time to talk to me, especially when I want to take some decisions, because I know she has ability, she has capacity to always convince me with her own opinions. So when I want to take some decision that I know she might not really take 100%, I skip away. The woman, for God to say she is a helper, that word helper, everyone needs help.
It's a big deal.
The women are the highest voters that we experience. Yes, they have only one vote per person. But what about the people they convince, the family they convince to go out there and cast their votes? Without them, the man leave the house without even taking note of the child behind, whether he is coming or not. or he will like, okay, let me
but
go
the woman
before
misses
you.
nothing.
But the woman makes
But let me
sure
ask
that,
you one
yes.
last question before we wrap up our interview, because you said a woman is a helpmate. Of all the times your wife has given you advice, even in your political career, how far right was she? How happy were you to have heeded her advice?
I was very happy. I was very happy. Let me use the last area council election. I was to recontest. And at a point, she sat to tell me, Daddy, consider this time. Look at the people vying for this position with you. You are well ahead of them. By age, by experience. Do you start engaging them in this election? And that was one major reason that stepped my mind down.
Interesting.
Even though I did not make her understand that was the reason.
Interesting.
But I think today she knows that was the reason.
Wonderful. Interesting. They say when you build up and train a woman, you are training a nation.
Yes.
I think you have given us a very clear picture of how this pans out.
Yes.
We want to thank you for coming on Weekend Deal. Honorable Musa Diko, former Chairman, Buari Area Council. Yes. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and you have thrown more clarity and brought more light and understanding to the issue of the electoral process and how we can best honor ourselves and our country as we go to the polls in the next few days. And I hope they don't forget, in the next 2 weeks, 25th February is the date of election. Yes. And every Nigerian must go to cast vote if we want a real new Nigeria. Indeed. We have heard you. Thank you. We have listened. You are watching Weekend Deal. We will take a break. We urge you to stay with us. We will be right back. Weekend Deal. It's time to look at some of our messages before we go. Donald Toll from Benue State says, I think with the use of the bimodal voters accreditation system, BVAS, most Nigerians can expect that the results will be more credible, or the most credible that Nigeria has ever seen. Alhaji Ali from Adamawa State says, he said it's very bad for someone to sell his rights, because by selling your votes, you are selling your rights. And he says, surprisingly, men are more prone to this than women. I wonder why you say women are more vulnerable. Phil Toju Kaneye is from Delta State. He says, good morning to the presenter and her guest. He said officials who will be deployed to the riverine areas in Delta State, for example, and some other southern zones should be good swimmers. Thank you very much, Phil Toju from Delta State. We do hope that will be taken into consideration when officials are being sent to those areas. We thank you very much for being a part of our program today. After all this talk for 2 days, what are we taking away? Don't dignify yourself and dishonor yourself and your nation by selling your votes or your right to be called, identified, and acknowledged as a Nigerian patriot. Don't accept any motivational or inspirational, physical, hand-giving message, okay? Just go out there to the polling units in 20 days' time and vote your conscience. Look at the candidates and identify the one who you think can take Nigeria to the next progressive level. God bless Nigeria. Thank you for